to start this tutorial, all you need is your off-shoulder pattern. And this off-shoulder pattern, I am going to be using the waist area. And the waist area of this pattern is set on my lower waist, which is my navel point area. If you are using your natural waist, which is the tiniest part of your waist, you make sure that you add 2 inches to all the length of your pattern because of the ruching and gathering of the front, and this also applies to the back pattern. Now what you need is to set these two side back and center back aside because they are the same. Now you're going to cut two of this on your fabric. First off, fold this on the waist area. The waist area is what I need for this particular tutorial, okay? If you do not know how to draft your off-shoulder pattern, I have a very detailed video on how to draft this pattern. You will totally love the video because it is very beginners friendly. I'll put the link in the description box below so you too can see how to draft yours, or the first comment in the comment section. Now if your fabric is stretchy, make sure you fold in the zip allowance. Fold it in like this. You won't be needing this zip allowance if your fabric is stretchy. But because my fabric is not stretchy, I will go on and cut the zip allowance on my fabric. And now as you can see, I have gone and cut this pattern out of my fabric, and I also left 1/2 inch seam allowance all around it, except for this side back. I didn't add any allowance because I already added allowance while drafting my pattern. Now I am going to go on and notch the zip area of my fabric just so I can know where my zip allowance is on my fabric. Now place good sides of the center back to the side back together and join by 1/2 inch on both sides. And here is my front pattern. Like I said, guys, if you don't know how to draft this off-shoulder pattern, I'll put the link in the description box just below this video, or the first comment you see in the comment section. I am also going to be using the waist length for this tutorial. Now I will take this pattern away because it needs to chill and relax, because it is the same with this side front pattern. Now I am going to be folding this at the waist area because this is the length I need for this tutorial, like I already said. And I'm also going to place this center front on fold. Now once you've gotten your pattern folded right, what you need to do now is to place the center front on fold so as to cut it on your fabric. And now I have gone and cut this on my fabric, as you can see, and I left 1/2 inch allowance all around it from top to bottom. For the center front, I also left 1/2 inch allowance all around it. What I did on this side of the center front is I left 2 inches from top to bottom of my fabric as an extension for my rope allowance. And what I am doing here is I am marking that center front on my fabric. I am using a chalk to mark that center fold because we are going to be cutting this into 2 later on. Now I am just basically unpinning my pattern from my fabric. Now I'll place the side front to the center front, and I am going to join the side seams by 1/2 inch. Good sides together. Now once you're done joining, we are going to slice that center front that we marked on our fabric. Slice it open. On the wrong side of your fabric, start making your double fold and start pinning. As you can see, I am making really tiny little fold because I left 1/2 inch for folding. So try not to go overboard with the folding. And we're going to go on our sewing machine and start making our stitches. And I would also do the same for the back. Making your stitches now is very important. I can't even overstress that, because if you do not make your stitches now, you won't be able to insert your rope later on. Now as you can see, I am done making my stitches. Now we're going to place the front good sides together. Now you're going to mark that rope allowance that we placed on our fabric, that 2 inches rope allowance from top to bottom. Now once you're done marking, you're going to go on your sewing machine and stitch from top to bottom. Now as you can see, I am done making my stitches. Now what you're going to do is, now we're going to start folding this in. This way we're going to create a loop so that our rope can pass through this loop. Now we're going to go on our sewing machine and stitch just at the edge, and also do the same for this other side. Now as you can see, I am done making my stitches, and now let's go on and create the rope. Now to create your rope, all you need to do is measure the length of the fabric you are working with and multiply it by 3. And that should be the width you need for your rope. Now place your rope good size together, and you're going to go on and stitch all the way down. And now I am just reducing the seams that I do not need. And once I am done, I'm going to use this safety pin to start turning my fabric inside out so that I can have the good side to work with. Now we're going to insert this rope into the loop and take it all the way up. Now insert it into this other loop and pull it all the way down. You can see how easy and simple that is. At this point, you can go on and stitch the rough edges of the rope. Now at this point, I am going to go on and add my zip to the back of my fabric. First off, mark your zip allowance like I just did. Now we're going to place the zip to the good side of the fabric, and as you can see, I am using a zip that opens up at the bottom part. Now once you're done pinning your zip to your fabric, go on your sewing machine and make your stitches. Now once you're done making your stitches, cut off this zip part. Now what you're going to do is fold that rough edges on the inside of your fabric, on the wrong side of your fabric. Now using a needle and thread, I am going to start stitching this by hand. You're going to stitch this in a way that your stitches won't show on the good side of your fabric. And it is really very easy to do. And if you use the color of thread that is very close to your fabric, your stitches won't be visible. I prefer to use a different color of thread so you can see what I am doing. Now as you can see, I am done making that stitch and there is no sign of color of thread on my fabric. Now we're going to be placing the good side of the front to the good side of the back. And we're going to be joining the side seams together. When sewing the side seams, make sure you start from this point. Do not start from this point because we need space at this place to join the sleeve. Now stitch all the way down. Here is my off-shoulder pattern, also from my off-shoulder tutorial. To make your balloon sleeve, whatever length it is you are working with, you need to make sure that you add 5 inches or more to it, because once you add your elastic band, your elastic would go up and it won't get to the length you want it to get to. If you have seen my video on how to make balloon sleeve tutorial, you would understand better. The length of this sleeve is my shoulder to wrist area. And for this tutorial, I am actually using my shoulder to elbow, and the rest is going to be for the balloon and elastic folding. Now from this part of the sleeve, you need to measure about 10 inches, which is how wide I want my sleeve to be, because we're going to be gathering this with an elastic band. Now at the bottom of your sleeve, also measure the same 10 inches. Now join the marks together. Bear in mind that you can use 8 inches, 12 inches, whatever. You can even go as far as using 20 inches if you want, depending on how really wide you want it to be, okay? Now, once you're done connecting your marks, what you're going to do is, at this point of your sleeve, go upwards by 3 inches. Now we're going to connect this to this. We're going to connect this armhole with a slight curve. This is very important. Measure the armhole curve of your sleeve. Now measure it out on your fabric and mark it just like I just did. Now we're going to cut this pattern out, and now notch that mark. Notch it so that you would know where it is. Place your fabric on fold and place your sleeve on top of it. Make sure that your fold sides are facing each other. Now retrace your fabric like this. Retrace your sleeve like this. What we're trying to create here is a bias for the sleeve. Now mark 2 inches all around this and cut this out. Now because we need 2 of this for our 2 sleeves, we're going to be cutting another one of this. Place that bias fabric on your sleeve like this. Now remember the notch we placed on our fabric. You're going to reduce the bias. Now fold it in like this, and you're going to stitch all the way to the other notched part, and also reduce the bias fabric, and also fold this in. Now I'll go and stitch, and I'll show you what this looks like. And now, as you can see, I have stitched my bias fabric to my sleeve. Now next thing you need to do is to make notches on that curved part of your sleeve. Once you're done, flip this to the wrong side of your fabric. Now start making a fold and start pinning. And once you're done, stitch it all the way to the end. Now to get the right elastic band you need to measure your armhole circumference. My armhole circumference is 17 inches. Now divide that by 2 and then subtract 2 inches from it. And whatever you get will be the right elastic band you need. I'll be cutting 2 because I need another elastic band for my second sleeve. Now insert your safety pin and start inserting it into the loop that you have created. And you can see I have safety pins at both ends so as to hold the elastic band down. Now we're going to start stitching the sleeve to the armhole of our fabric. Now place the good sides of your sleeve to the good side of your armhole, and we're going to stitch, or you can even pin it down. Now you need to make sure that while stitching, make sure that you pull your safety pin away and make sure that your stitches grab the elastic band while you stitch. Now also pin this part to this part of your armhole and also stitch, making sure that your elastic band is stitched on. And also we're going to start double folding the hem and thereby creating a loop so that our elastic band can pass through this loop. Now we're going to go on our sewing machine and we're going to make all our stitches. And to get the right amount of elastic band you need, if this is where your sleeve stops, measure the circumference of that area, and whatever you get, you're going to minus 2 inches from it. Subtract 2 inches from it, and when you subtract 2 inches from it, whatever you get would be the right elastic band you need. And now, as you can see, we're going to start making our stitches, starting with the hand circumference. And now I am joining the sleeve to the armhole of my top. And as you can see, I am making sure that I stitch on that elastic band. Using a safety pin, we're going to start inserting the elastic band into the loop we created at the hem of the sleeve. And using the safety pin at the other end of the elastic band, I'll be holding it down so as to keep the elastic band from moving. And as you can see, I am done attaching the sleeve to the armhole. And what we're going to do now is we're going to attach the side seam of the top to the side seam of the sleeve all the way to the hem. While stitching, you need to make sure you hold down the elastic. And as you can see, I am done joining my side seam of the top to the side seam of the sleeve. And next thing you need to do is to start overlocking all those rough seams on your fabric. And once you're done, go on and fix your other sleeve to your top. And we're done, guys.